Welcome everybody back to Boost Emotion, guys. And today I want to talk about this. We're gonna have two different articles, so there's gonna be two different videos. The 10 most, what would you want to call it? The most exciting or satisfying cars to own in 2023, even though 2023 just started, and also the 10 most dissatisfying cars to own in 2023. It should be compared to 2022. But anyways, guys, we're going to jump into it, all right? First thing, shout out to my whole Boost Emotion family, guys. Thank you guys for showing your support. And if you're new to the Boost Emotion channel, I'm Boost Emotion. I'm a Nissan Infiniti enthusiast, car enthusiast, and I report the news. So this article comes from Jalopnik. And Jalopnik, I don't know, man. They be on and off with some of the stuff they be posting. So I really don't necessarily be liking them because they be bugging sometimes. Like, I think they honestly be bugging sometimes. But the Consumer Reports, let's jump into it. So the first car that they say is, boom, Dodge Challenger. I don't know how they're going to sit there and say this is the most satisfying car, but you know what? Shout out to Dodge for doing great marketing and pretty much giving you guys the same exact car for over a decade. I mean, listen, and Nissan did the same thing with the 370Z, but it's not like the Challenger. The Mopar crew runs deep. And all they kept on doing was just making little increment changes with the car, and people continue to still go and pay 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 plus for a Challenger. So quickly, Challenger probably isn't going out of going to out corner a Mustang or Camaro on a racetrack, but at the same time, it doesn't try to hide what it is. It's a coupe that gives you a lot of power for your money. If that's what you're looking for, it makes sense for the Challenger to make you happy. I'm not gonna lie, my friend had two Challengers, and I know other people in the Mopar community that will go out and purchase the same car. They came from a narrow body to a wide body. Literally, that's all they did. That's literally all they did. From a wide body from a narrow body to a wide body. Everything else is still the same, and they really still love these vehicles. So shout out to them, man. Next, we're gonna go fast through this. Next is the Mazda MX-5 Miata. I've actually heard great things about these vehicles. It's kind of like that Toyota Scion / BRZ community. These cars are fun little coupes that don't have a tremendous amount of power, but their driving dynamics are super dope, and they have a loyal following, man. Like, some people really love these cars. Like the Challenger, the Miata is honest. It's small, simple, and if you don't feel comfortable inside, you're probably going to discover it during the test drive, not 6 months after you buy it. But also, it's a Miata. Everyone loves Miatas. That's literally the law. Like, it's just down to me, particularly from what I've been told from watching plenty of videos and people who drive it, it's the driving dynamics. And I've driven two-door sport coupes, and I could just imagine something like that where the power goes directly with the platform. That is just the power doesn't overdrive the platform. And I think that's what the Miata crew really has. Next, Toyota RAV4 Prime. Now, we're not going to really do so much reviews on crossover vehicles such as this, but I get it. It's a family hauler. It has great gas mileage, and over the time, they have made these cars a lot better looking. But let's just quickly read it. This one is a little interesting because we've seen some of the markups that dealers are tacking on RAV4 Prime. It would make sense that after getting caught up in the rush of actually getting one of these owners might later decide it's not worth $60,000 driving experience. But if that did happen, it sure didn't show up in the survey. I don't understand how Consumer Reports rate this to be a satisfying car. Maybe it comes with a lot of standard tech. I didn't look it up, but it probably comes with a lot of standard tech. The features, it's probably like driving the Lexus, because the Lexus is definitely the nicer Toyota, of course. It's probably like driving the Lexus version just with the Toyota badge on the front. And honestly, I've driven some Camrys have stepped their game up over time, where sometimes you get the car for what you wanted to get for you, what you wanted for, and it just delivers. It's just, nothing's complicated. It just works. And I believe this car may be one of those. All right, next. I didn't go through this list either yet, too. Toyota BRZ, whatever you want to call it, right? Literally, like a lot of cars on this list, the Toyota twins aren't exactly cars people accidentally buy. And no salesman is going to tell someone who came in looking for an accent that they should go consider a BRZ. You might eventually outgrow it eventually, but you bought one. You probably knew you wanted one. I think people like for what it is. Once again, the platform, the power doesn't overdrive itself. It has enough power for its platform, pretty much for the car itself. And I think that's just where it delivers on. Next, Polestar 2. I know nothing about this car completely at all. At least I know about the RAV4. This one is one of the most interesting cars on the list so far because while you probably have to know what you're looking for, it for if you ended up with a Polestar 2 in your garage, it also is relatively new EV. Maybe driving an EV doesn't work for your lifestyle. Maybe your T-cam module locked you out of your car. There are a number of understandable reasons Polestar owners, two owners, might regret their purchase, but turns out owners love them. I don't really know too much about the vehicle. If it's an EV car, it makes sense. But they're rating this one number 6. All right, 5. Honda Ioniq 5. Now, Hyundai Ioniq 5. I've actually heard about this before, and I've read just very lightly about it because once again, this is not something on the radar for me. But when I do see something new that's kind of sticks out, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Considering all the awards Ioniq 5 has won, it's not terribly surprising to see this on our list. Perhaps it's a little surprising that it's in the top 5. But the Ioniq 5 is a fantastic EV with great design. Now it's nice to find out that not many owners regret buying them. You see what I'm saying? People might really love that. Next, this one, yeah, Ford Maverick. I didn't even know they made a hybrid version of this car. That's the funny thing. I'm starting to see more of these cars on the road, but to me, I see them as like fleet vehicles. So it's like, are they really owners or are they just commercial drivers? You know what I'm saying? We really wish more auto manufacturers would sell something like the Maverick. Small trucks are great, while other trucks on this list are honest about what they are. We'd argue the Maverick is a truck for customers who are honest with themselves. If you don't need to tow 12,000 pounds or haul a big full bed of gravel to a job site, just get a Maverick. I get the simplicity of that. I do. Because there's a reason why people buy Ford 150s way more than Ford 250s and Ford 350s, F350s. Because they don't really need the extra amount of power, the extra amount of space, and the extra amount of money need to be spent. So they can get a smaller pickup truck that just necessarily does what it needed to do. And it may just be a V6. They don't need a V8, you know? The Rivian. I actually starting to see. I saw in the last 2-3 weeks. I've seen at least 4 of these cars. So people are definitely buying these cars, and I live in New York City. So while we've been big fans of the R1T, this yet is another case where we would fully understand owners not being interested in buying it again. Maybe they missed Apple CarPlay more than expected. Maybe they realized it was too powerful for them. It would make sense, but nonetheless, RT earned a podium finish. People wanted it. People want the car. Ooh, Porsche 911. First thing, shout out to the Porsche crew. I get it. I get it. People don't get a Porsche and just leave Porsche. And I'm talking about like Porsche owners may get, if you get a 911, I had this conversation with my friend. If you get a 911 Turbo S, if you get a GT2 or GT3 car, it's hard to leave. But if you get like a Carrera S, or the Cayman, or the smaller, cheaper ones or more affordable ones, they always wish to get the higher end ones. So those people would end up possibly leaving and going to get another vehicle. But when you go Turbo S and or GT1 and GT2, it's hard to just go down from there. You got to go something more lateral, you know? Yes, yeah, this one totally makes sense. It's almost a little surprising it's not in the first place. 911F, I can't say that word on video, but you might possibly be able to find one or two buyers out there who would get a GT car and were unhappy that it wasn't as comfortable as they hoped. But that kind of person deserves to be uncomfortable. And that makes sense because I'm gonna just quickly say this. When I had the conversation with my friend, I sat there and said this. I said, a Turbo S person is gonna be like, man, I respect those GT2s and GT3s, but I don't want a car that's more race car-ish. This is fine for me. But a person that's a GT2, GT3 person is like, oh, I got the best, but then they're like, damn, I'm not as aggressive. Like if I go get a Turbo S, it's not as aggressive as the GT2, GT3 cars. You see what I'm saying? Like to me, they don't cross shop. Even though it's Porsche, a Turbo S person is not cross shopping like a GT2 car. Like, because it's not the same. You can't compare. They're not the same car. As much as people might say the same, they're not the same. They're not the same. Even though it has a Porsche badge on it, they're not the same car. So finally, we're going to go to the last one. Chevy Corvette. I don't know, man. They got, and if they talking about they talking about the C8 too. I don't know, because as a YouTuber, I've watched other YouTubers purchase this car just because it's mid-engine rear-wheel drive. But like when I see reviews and everything about it, like people for like it because of what it is and how it was made and how it was engineered. I get that, right? That makes a lot of sense. But then after that, it's like, all right, it's just a Chevrolet Corvette C8. Like, remember they came out with the hybrid version recently, which is gonna be super dope. I think that's kind of cool. But for the price, 100 grand, it is what it is. Like, it's $100,000 for a hybrid Corvette. Like, get the Z06 version. Screw it. Sorry. Honestly, C8 being Consumer Reports' most sci-fi vehicle to own this year is pretty surprising. We know that the Corvette is great, but we're talking Consumer Reports here. You won't regret buying a mid-engine supercar. Isn't exactly a Consumer Reports thing to say, and yet the readers have spoken. Come on, man. It don't make any sense. So, nonetheless, guys, much love, much love. Shout out to Jalopnik and Consumer Reports, but I think are completely wrong with this. This doesn't make entirely no freaking sense. But nonetheless, guys, you have good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thank you for tapping in with your boy Boost. You can add me at boostinmotion IG, Facebook. Also, send me an email at boostinmotion@gmail.com. Otherwise than that, guys, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. You guys have a good day. I appreciate you.